I thought I'd share my challenges investing in crypto over the last 5 years, how I've suffered losses and scams, though I have made up for those losses by holding Bitcoin, Solana and ETH. This is mainly for people new to crypto, but everyone is free to check it out. I hope this will help you avoid the many pitfalls that can affect potential investors. However, this is not financial or investment advice, just sharing experiences. My losses have come about mainly through 2 ways: suffering fraudulent scams, which I'll share about first, and poor performance of tokens. I'll discuss several of the projects and ecosystems and the pitfalls of investing in small caps and startups. Back around 2021, I heard about a wonderful new crypto company that offered yield on Bitcoin through lending. This was exciting because unlike proof-of-stake chains where you could earn yield through staking, Bitcoin doesn't have yield unless you're a miner, which is out of grasp of retail investors. The idea that I could get over 5% yield on Bitcoin was too enticing to resist, so I deposited some of my Bitcoin into the Celsius app, only to discover my funds were frozen in mid-2022. It turned out the Celsius business model was Ponzi-like, that they were lending assets over and over again to juice yields, and that it wasn't a crypto you could believe in. Eventually, the CEO, Alex Machinsky, was sent to jail for fraud. However, the good news is after several years and legal processes in the US, I got around 2/3 of my crypto back, mainly in ETH but a little in Bitcoin as well. Embarrassingly, the worst scam I suffered was what's called a trust trade scam, which was common around the time of Ethereum's merge. As you can see, they offer you 2 ETH in return for 1 you send to their wallet. They had used footage of Ethereum's main founder, Vitalik Buterin, speaking, as well as a time limit to cause a rush decision. It was around 2021 during the pandemic. I was shut indoors, alone and isolated, and I thought it was a legitimate offer. Unlike the Celsius scam, there was zero recovery. I lost 1 ETH. In crypto and banking in general, it's important to stay vigilant. Never press on links sent in email or text. Instead, seek clarification from official websites. Never trust the rush. Scammers will often pressure you into a rush decision with time limits. And if it seems too good to be true, it most probably is. The problem with crypto is occasionally things are too good to be true. It was around 2020 I first got curious about crypto and I experimented with buying different tokens. Just $10 each token on an Australian exchange called CoinSpot. Months later I noticed some exceeding $300. Of course I didn't know when to sell, and after learning more later I just traded them in for ETH and BTC at a loss. This is the enticing thing about crypto. What if I'd bought Cardano when it was 3 cents? Or if I'd bought Ethereum at $10 and now it's hitting 4,000? I have invested in some small cap projects with research, but so far they've been disappointing and have only decreased in price. Partly because I've been following the 4-year cycle based on how Bitcoin's issuance halves every 4 years and seems to have regular growth and crash periods, which in turn affects all other coins in crypto called altcoins. Once in that 4-year cycle, speculative money goes into altcoins, dubbed altcoin season. The last cycle peak was in November 2021, so it's due now in 2025. So while Bitcoin and BNB are experiencing all-time highs, and Ethereum and Solana are doing okay, many mid-tier projects and layer ones like Cardano, Cosmos and Polkadot are languishing far from all-time highs of last cycle. And small caps, like the music projects I follow, are suffering. This is also symptomatic of the shiny new toy syndrome, where the majority of projects have speculative highs at the beginning and then go on to fade as the next lot of new projects get the spotlight. When I started investing in L1 chains like Ethereum, there was Solana, then there was Aptos and Sui, and then other L1s like Sei and Berachain, and there was Ton, and then recently there's Hyperliquid, and competing with that is Aster. The shining new toys will never stop, and it makes the odds of a long-term investment lower and lower as more projects compete for attention. Sometimes it seems it doesn't matter how great the tech is, it's all about attention. It's hard to believe all these chains have long-term upside. No one knows which chains will dominate, so inevitably the gravitational pull is back to the OG projects that everyone was familiar with, Bitcoin then Ethereum. There are always new projects coming, giving more and more choice for investing in the space, dividing the pie even further. Finally, I'll share my experience in investing in small and mid caps. One thing to be very wary of with investing in crypto projects is that sometimes the head guru can change focus and start a new project, leaving you holding the bag. I experimented with staking in a project called Synthetix, inspired by fellow Australian Kane Warwick. The SNX token allowed you to provide liquidity through an involved process of converting it to SUSD as debt, its specialized stablecoin. But two catalysts caused me to pull out, luckily before I lost money. One was a change to version 3, which at the time gave me the impression general tokens apart from SNX like ETH could be used to provide liquidity, which made me conclude SNX was losing its prime use case and would therefore lose value. The second was the founder finding a new project, Infinex, which gave rise of fears that a shiny new token could come from it, leaving SNX a has-been. But to be fair, so far Infinex is just a platform that allows easy access to DeFi across many chains, not a cryptocurrency itself. I pulled out of Synthetix last year, just breaking even, and since then SNX has continued to struggle, but that's like many altcoins. The problem was also that SNX staking was complicated, because as providing liquidity, it required going into debt and monitoring a debt ratio. This year Synthetix has returned to SNX staking, but since then they have provided a simplified alternative for new stakers. Sometime in early 2024, I heard about a new blockchain for gaming from a crypto influencer, where transactions would be completely free, or gasless transactions, as the industry called it, because ETH fees payments are described as gas. The blockchain was called Saakuru and was specialized in gaming. It seemed like it had potential, claiming to be the first gasless blockchain. So I invested some funds, just a small percentage of my portfolio, at the time of their token generation event and several times afterwards, hoping as a small cap project that it would 10x or 100x as many small cap projects had done in the last cycle. But as previously discussed, there are far more projects competing for attention, and the famous altcoin season for small caps hasn't materialized. I was purchasing SKR tokens when they were about 3 cents. The price has descended all year to below the 0.001 range. I don't see a point in selling, so I'll just stay with it and see what happens. The website is still around, there's still some activity on X, even some AI innovations and a quarterly report, but the Saakuru app is shutting down, and the last monthly blog post was back in March. The question is, how long can they keep the lights on and pay employees, etc.? They have a small NFT marketplace and an ecosystem of some games and apps, but I can't verify how many working or bring value to the SKR token. I imagine there are many small projects like this. They may even survive as meme coins, be traded, or it may just take one successful game to drive value. Who knows? But these are the risks when investing in small cap crypto projects. Another project I have dabbled in is Laos, which began as a layer 1 chain designed for bridgeless minting of NFT assets that can be used across many EVM chains. They've recently pivoted to focus on Bitcoin NFTs. I was originally impressed by their white paper and concept for cross-chain NFTs, but they don't seem to have a huge community on their socials and have only recently become more active with the Bitcoin pivot. They have a token that's vesting but not yet visible on CoinMarketCap. It feels like another great project that can easily get lost in the noise, or the project will grow. After all, Bitcoin spent 2 years in obscurity under $1. There's a great article being shared across Twitter about how long-term projects seem really hard to do now in crypto. Similar to the shiny new toy syndrome, it seems investing is based on narrative and attention periods that are getting shorter and shorter, now at around 18 months, making it almost impossible to build anything long-term. Retail investors are burned by hype cycles, investing when they're still early, only to discover they're too late. And projects feel burned by an altcoin season that hasn't appeared in 2025. Maybe it's better to have an anti-hype thesis, only investing in projects where there is no hype, and being careful of current narratives, because in a couple of years, other narratives will replace them. Because when hype leaves a project or a sector, so does liquidity, and therefore price action.